Glory be to God in the highest, and peace to God's people on earth. Welcome, welcome, welcome to you all. So beautiful to be with you. So our announcements. This week we have a retreat coming up in a month from now, November 7th through the 9th, I believe. It's going to be that weekend in November. And then we have an in-person retreat in Washington State, January 1st through the 15th. And then we have going into 2026, I guess that is, the Shivananda Ashram in the Bahamas, the Spiritual Awakening Symposium at the end of March, beginning of April. Do my best to get all the details for that posted. It's still coming, but the Shivananda one is up, and you can absolutely schedule and register for that. I plan on being there. Okay, I think those are the big announcements that I have. And I'm sorry, I just get behind sometimes with all the technology stuff, being on top of it. Kind of a one-man show here. There's lots of volunteers and people who help out from time to time, but I do have an assistant that helps occasionally, but sometimes she gets real busy. So anyways, just bear with us. We'll get it posted probably this week, the retreat. So if you haven't looked outside, go look outside. Go look outside. There's a big, bright, wonderful full moon tonight. Maybe someone could put in the chat the name of the full moon. If it's October, which it is, I'm going to call it a harvest moon. So Jah's harvest, and so we praise Jah and we say, okay, harvest time. Let's go. So it might have a fancy name though. Okay, it's the full moon in Aries. But anyways, go outside, see the big full moon. I think it's really full moon tomorrow night, Monday night, but it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. I've just been staring at it night after night and watching it get bigger and bigger. And anyways, I feel so much love when I'm out in nature. I love being in nature. It's just, I find it so healing. And I had another big weekend. I was out in Moab, Utah, climbing out in the desert and camping and being by myself and being with a bunch of friends. And I came back home to the family. We drove up, way up high in the big mountains. So I went from being in the mountains out to the desert, back to the mountains, then drove up higher in the mountains. And I love fall. It's just a glorious time of year. And also, I think there's a squirrel in me. You know what squirrels do when it's fall time? They get real busy. They want to make sure they get in, all their activities that they can get in before the snow comes. So anyways, I've been having so much fun making all these little YouTube shorts. And if anyone has a question or wants a short being a short video, made on something, send me an email, give me some ideas, because I just go out there and just kind of feel, talk about what I'm feeling. And sometimes people send me some questions. And but a lot of times when I'm out in nature, I'm just really happy to be in nature, because nature mirrors to us the enlightened mind. We have this vast, spacious sky, this depth of strength and freedom, power, of the earth. And this beauty just everywhere when we're out there in nature. And I love it. I mean, I think of myself as just being in Colorado, just living in nature. I'm outside every moment I can. I'm on the computer with you guys, but then I get out, because when you're outside, I'll say what happens to me when I'm outside. My mind it expands to whatever container it's in. And so like when I'm in my room or my house, it's kind of as big as the house. When you go outside, It's just open forever. And I love it. When I'm inside, there's 1,000,001 things I have to do to take care of the family and take care of the home, and take care of my little four-legged friends. And I have all these vehicles and motorcycles and trucks and vans. There's so many jobs just everywhere. That's why in the past, we all just ran away to the monastery. But when you go outside and you allow yourself to be silent and empty, it's such a gift for our nervous system, for our body, and for the direct sense of self, the direct sense of what we actually are. By self, I mean self with a capital S. And so it's a glorious thing to go outside and to connect with nature. And I know I've been talking about this all month, but I'm just going to talk a little bit more about it because I love it. I love it. Like a lot of times, I'll just be staring. Like I spend just great periods of time just staring at rocks, at mountains, at cliff faces. And then I just start drooling. I just start drooling at their absolute beauty. I drool because I go into a state of samadhi as I merge, into the cliffs, into the mountains. And this weekend I was out in Cane Creek. It's an area in Moab, and just spending time out there, just staring at these cliffs. And I'll bring some videos. In the shorts, they'll be coming. I've got so many of them. I'm all backed up. They're just so beautiful. And when you look at a rock face, when you look at, where I live, you see geologic time in millions and millions and millions, if not billions of years. You see the rock layers, and you see the great changes that the earth has lived through. And if you're open and your mind is empty and you merge into the earth and merge into the sky, there's this sense in the sky that you are the timeless reality right now. And you merge into the direct experience of the earth. So this experience that you have been here throughout time, since the beginning of time. That the aliveness in you, the aliveness of the earth, is ever present and ever living, ever resilient. And when we experience this, when we know this, it's almost like a big bucket of cold water for the small egoic identity. The small egoic identity is always trying to make itself the most important character in the room of your consciousness. But when we stare out, whether it's at the cliffs, the rocks, the strata, just the layers of rocks, look out at the hugeness of the sky, we look out at the ocean, you look out at the moon, and you begin to realize, oh, maybe this one and this little personal story and my little complaints, and like I hurt my big toe. I hurt my big toe 2 weeks ago climbing, just getting crazy because I've been going like really big out there on the rocks, and I hurt my big toe. But when you're staring at the moon, you're staring at the immensity of the sky. Like the thought of your big toe, it disappears. I know some people get real judgmental. I don't get judgmental myself anymore, but I used to. In the past, if I stubbed my big toe, I might have thought, oh, I shouldn't have gone climbing so hard. Oh, I should get a new pair of climbing shoes. Oh, maybe I should try a different method. Maybe I should be on YouTube learning a different way so I don't hurt my toes. Maybe I need to do some stretches, some toe yoga or something silly. We know how crazy our mind can get. But when you open to the hugeness of the sky, it gives an opportunity for the crazy in you to dissolve, to empty out, to fall away. It's one of the great gifts of nature, just being in nature. There's so much of the silliness, like the busyness of the mind falls away. And for many of us, as soon as we set foot in nature, all of a sudden awareness wakes up and becomes ever present without any effort. Without any effort. And it's such a gift. Such a gift. So I wanted to speak about something tonight, but let's do this. Let's do this before I get into tonight's teaching. I'm going to invite us to shut down our eyes. And I invite you to see, to feel, to experience with your mind's eye. So we'll call this our third eye vision. I invite you just to feel into the direct experience of the full moon. And even if you're listening at a later date, the moon is always full. It's always full. We just have a silly perspective here on planet Earth. And so to look directly at the moon, and I will ask you, what is its transmission? What do you feel? What do you experience when you open to the moon? For many of us, the moon will come to us. It's like a laser beam of consciousness. A laser beam. The moon has this quality of directness to it. It also has a quality of great mystery. And in this mystery is a great sense of awe, a sweet tenderness, and this power of luminosity in the darkness of the night sky. And I invite you to feel into that, this power of luminosity. In the night sky. Now, oftentimes, as I feel into the consciousness of the moon, it feels as if someone, like an old friend, is watching over me. Almost has a quality of being like an old lover. So every time I see the moon, I'm just so happy. And so I invite you to feel for yourself the direct experience of the moon is for you. What is your relationship with the moon? And from a space of humility, can you open, allowing the moon to bring a sweet sense of calm over your soul? And so let us receive this sweet calm from the moon, and I'll say thank you to the moon. Thank you, moon. I love you, moon. And with that, I welcome you to Satsang, but I'm going to encourage you, and encourage us to continue to open to the moon. One of the great gifts that the moon has given me, even though a moment ago I just said the moon is full all the time. By that, I mean it's always lit up. It's always lit up. But often I really hallmark the full moon. And when I see the full moon, it does something quite destructive to my normal human view of time. Humans, we like to think of days broken down into hours, broken down into minutes. And oftentimes, like what we got done in the day, what we can get done in this hour. Always doing. But I will always go out on the full moon and I'll gently reflect on what has transpired over the course of many moons. And I also will project myself into the future, normally over one moon. So I'll kind of reflect seasonally. And when we reflect seasonally on our life, I find it just a much greater orientation than when we look day by day. If we're checking our progress day by day, it's really hard to see any progress. Sometimes we had a really bad day. Sometimes we had a great day. A lot of times we have mediocre days or just confusing days. But when you can reflect back over a month, when you can reflect back over a season, or over, I have some friends who they talk about many moons ago. This is like if you hang out with some Navajos or some Dene, some Utes, they might talk in a different time frame. Many moons ago. What's happened, over this last moon cycle? It just gives you a broader view, a broader perspective that is less moment to moment, play by play. I saw someone post something about Charlie Kirk, and it was a really beautiful thing. It was Charlie Kirk. Here's Charlie Kirk a year ago, and it showed him, and he was like hanging out with it was like two teams, like it was like a sorority or something, and it's like the girls volleyball team and then like the guys basketball team, and they were just like laughing and joking. He wasn't doing any political debate or anything. He was just hanging out with some young folks, and like everyone was happy to have their picture taken with him and giving them hugs and high fives, and they were just like drinking Coca-Colas and this and that. And I just saw someone posting this guy having a sweet moment, with some friends or with some new friends, because Charlie would travel a lot. And I don't care what you think about Charlie politically. But, the person was saying like was Charlie a year ago, and now, of course, Charlie can talk about him without it being some big political statement for or against and this and that. But just showing a man just having a good time with some friends. And there was something sweet about it. One of the sweetest things about having an iPhone is it'll make these little video productions of me and my dogs. And I'm not asking for it. It just like pops it up on my screen and just shows like Craig and Doodles over the years. And it's nice because it just shows this picture of time that's not like the current news cycle, which is so insane. The current like Instagram cycle, so insane. Everyone's fighting and debating over this. And on the iPhone, it'll show me, again, I don't know how it does it. Just does it in the Photos app automatically. It'll put together like a spread. I want to call it a spreadsheet, but like a video player with some music behind it of me and my daughter. It'll show her like when she's 3 years old, from like 3 to 5 years old. It'll pop up on the screen and I'll click on it and I'll be like, oh my gosh. And there's something that happens to our consciousness when we can look at life over a big period of time. And of course, if you spend time outside, you'll notice immediately you step into a different time frame. So I want us to all imagine this. Let's say we are tuned in to CNN News or Fox News, whatever the news station is, and they're giving us the latest bad news of the day. And if you just press pause, stop, click, turn that thing off, and you go and walk outside, and you look at the moon, you look at the skies, all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, I am in a whole other reality, a reality with a different time, a different time. The nightly news, it's he said this and she did that, and this isn't fair, this isn't right. We got to get him. We got to send in the police. We don't got to send in the police. It's just crazy, just fighting constantly. You go outside at night, there's nothing fighting. There's no one arguing. We're being blessed by all these stars, this big, beautiful moon above, showering us with this timeless, eternal grace and this transmission. And it's incredible. It's incredible. And so I encourage you, if you find yourself addicted, to the current, whatever, even if you're just on Twitter, like some people try to give me some like moral superiority. They're like, I don't watch the news. I only read the news. I've heard liberals say this. I've heard conservatives say this. I've heard Tucker Carlson say this, people have some like moral high ground. I don't watch the news. I read it. And it's like, great, but you still seem really anxious. You still seem really anxious with that Twitter feed, scrolling. What happens when you just go outside? And the same can be true as like if you're not into the news, if that's not your thing, but say you get into an argument with an old friend, an argument with mom or dad, sister, brother, an argument with your partner, and you just go outside and just look at the beauty of the stars. I've been speaking about Jakusho Kwong lately, the great Zen master. And he told this story when he was young. Him and his family were out late one night. I think they were at like some big Zen ceremony. I can't remember what they were doing, but they were out driving in the streets of San Francisco. And he was in his old microbus, if anyone could remember those. That's an old VW hippie bus. I used to run around in those, give you my age here. And he said he was driving through the streets of San Francisco and he came to an intersection and there was this big accident where two cars collided. And, one of them was a little sports car. And he said like the car was just like broken in half. And he looked at one fella and one fella, had appeared dead. And he ran up to the survivor. And the guy was laying there in a pool of blood. He yelled out to his wife, hey, go, call for an ambulance. And in those days, you had to go find a payphone, or go knock on someone's door. Had a telephone. But he was laying there with this guy who was laying in the street. This guy was laying in the street, and Kwong walked up to him. And was like, hey, hey, brother, like, I'm with you here. And the guy was laying there just in a pool of blood, in a sense, dying. And just looking up at the stars. And he said, the stars are so bright and beautiful tonight. And so here was this poor poor fella, he just lost his friend in an accident, and he too was just lying in a pool of blood. But his consciousness was awake to the brilliance and the beauty of the stars. And it must have been a really clear night to be able to see the stars in San Francisco, but it just has this ability to awaken us in the here and now to the absolute beauty of life, the absolute wonder. But in the modern age, like so many of us, we're not willing to stop, to pause. I watched this sweet video from Don Solomon, and Ashley sent me this really sweet video. Thank you, Don. And he talked about this practice, and him and Jad are doing, and he's sharing it with others and connecting with people in this pause. And it's so important to break up that stream of ego identity. As the ego thrives on just being busy, on being a character, on being a someone, on having just an ongoing narrative, a commentary, a complaint. And for us in the modern age, we literally have to say pause to our mind and to ourself. In the olden days, we didn't have so much input. And we really have to be compassionate with ourselves and with our bodies in this modern age, because we don't realize that in the past, we always had silence. We'd go out at night and gather wood and slowly get a pile of wood and slowly crack, the sticks and light a fire, and just the only sound we'd hear would be the crackling of the fire. And we'd sit in silence and just be in peace. In peace. I remember in the old days, I'd have cars that just had radios in them. And where I live, like, there's not really many radio stations. It's like, especially when I'm driving across the desert, I'd just drive for hours and there'd be no radio signal or nothing. I'm sure like I could probably tune in and find, some kind of AM radio station, but it's like there'd just be nothing, and it'd just be you and the sky. You and the sky. You in this great emptiness. And one of the reasons we feel so anxious, so agitated, so wound up all the time is because we don't have this experience of just pure silence anymore. But even by pure silence, I want to be clear here. I don't mean that there's no sounds. Silence, I mean, we're not tuning into external input and stimulus. By silence, I mean we are just radically open. And when we're open, you start to merge into the aliveness of life. Like I spent this big part of this weekend just merging into geologic time. Geologic time. And here in Colorado, like I noticed, I wasn't the only one in there that we're starting to get a lot of traffic into it. It drives me crazy. And I have to remind myself, hey, like all these other people are out here and they're wanting to merge into geologic time. But I got to pay attention a little bit when I'm driving that car because I'm not used to driving in traffic. I'm not used to it. And so it creates little bits of agitation. It's like, okay, we need to let go of this and open. Pull over and stop and just be with the changing seasons. Be with the hugeness of the sky. Be with a full moon. I'm really feeling the full moon tonight. Just to be with it. To be with it. I want to tell you all something about the full moon. I gotta be careful here because I get myself in trouble sometimes. You know, the moon is actually hollow, and it's a big spaceship. And it's like a giant eye that's just watching us constantly. On the backside of it's where all the aliens live. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to mess with y'all. I have to mess with y'all a little bit. You know, there was this guy. I'm just going to talk about Don Solomon for a moment because he told me last year. He's like, Craig, sometimes you say things that aren't the truth. And my teacher used to do this. And he said, Craig, it doesn't matter what I say. Doesn't matter what I say. The words are filled with a transmission if you're open. And his teacher, Hilda, she would say all kinds of wild, wacky things, really far out there things. You know, like you guys think I say some wacky things, but she would say some wacky things too. And of course, it's great, you know, when you only speak, you know, the factual truth. But come on now. I want us all to play with feeling into the vibration of everything. And you can feel into the vibration of Craig saying, well, the full moon, the moon is hollow. It's like, okay, let's feel into the vibration of that. and it's not the words, but I want you to see, like, did the vibration actually change? Did it shift a little bit? Did it transmit a little bit of humor or a little bit of mischief? And can you roll with it? Can you play with it? Can you enjoy it? Can you not get so hung up on the words? You know, sometimes people have gotten hung up with me politically in the past. If I said one thing about this party or another thing about that party, and things fires up, it's just like, let it roll through you and smile and dance. And I want you all to know and trust, you know, that human beings are a product of, you know, some type of DNA manipulation from the aliens, and their base is on the moon, and they have to be on the backside because they want to keep an eye on us, but they don't want to interfere. They just want to see how humans will be if they splice our genes 200,000 years ago and make this creation and see how the experiment unfolds. Then we are that experiment. And so again, I'm glad Chris is laughing. I know Chris is laughing. He's giving me some big smiles. I don't know about the rest of y'all. The rest of y'all ready to fire me. But come on. Catherine's lighting up. Okay, thank y'all. Also, I just have to see if y'all are awake, you know, see if you're awake here. So the teaching for tonight that I wanted us to look at, you know, was inspired by, I was listening to Aja the other day, and he asked a question, and this is a question that's actually in my shadow. And you know, the topic I want to speak about for a little bit here is, who do you serve on the spiritual path? Now, the reason I say this is in my shadow is because all the time, like, I'm just serving so much. I'm serving my family, like my kids, they demand so much of me. I've got these two little puffy dogs that want a lot of my time and attention. And of course, it's my job to serve you all in this Sangha. You know, I do this therapeutic work. You know, and sometimes I'll go and volunteer at the schools, you know, or at the church. I mean, my God, I spent just so much time serving my teacher, and then I served the Durango Dharma Center, and I've served Tara Mandala, a different Buddhist center. And so there'd be times I'd show up and volunteer, you know, for Ajashanti. And so I've always been someone who was just like always working in the realm of service. And so when I'm inviting us to look at this question of who do you serve? Most of us on the spiritual path, most human beings, let me say that differently, most human beings are constantly focused on only serving themselves first. Like, serve myself first. It's always funny to me if I'm standing in line and someone like cuts in line in front of me. It's just always like, well, there's a big ego. Like there's a big ego. Or people who go to Starbucks, and I've told this story before, but I've seen this so many times. I don't drink coffee, so I'm not, Starbucks guy, but I've stood in line with friends, at Starbucks, and people get so serious about, I would like, a half calf Americano, cappuccino, latte, orange spice, pumpkin this, with, I want the oat milk, not the rice milk. It's got to be the oat milk. And I want real honey, not that syrup stuff. And people get crazy and they act like this is the most important thing in the world. But this is the most important thing in the world, that you get my coffee order right. You get my coffee order right. I need you to get it right because I need this. It's like, are you gonna be okay? Like if you get butterscotch instead of pumpkin spice or whatever, like, are you gonna be okay? Are you gonna be okay? And the whole world is always serving themselves. But when I look out at humanity, I see two types of people. The ones who are constantly serving themselves, and then there's these other folks who are just constantly serving others. Like a type 2 on the Enneagram chart, constantly serving others, always putting themselves last. Mothers, good mothers. I'll say this because sometimes people say, Craig, I didn't have a good mother. So good mothers, constantly serving their children, running them here, running them there. Fathers serving their children. But people who show up in the healing arts, they tend to give to the point of exhaustion. And I do this, like I get it in my shadow. I give to the point of exhaustion. And I'm not saying it to prop myself up in any way. It's a problem. It's a problem. I literally have to walk away from the computer, from the Sangha, from my family. And I have to schedule time just to go be alone so my body can recharge. And so I'm on like that end of serving too much. But then there's the flip side. There are people who it's all about me. Me. I can remember I was on a plane once and I saw the pediatrician, like the baby doctor. It's really the OBGYN, but it was when my kids were babies. And I remember I knew this doctor. He was kind of a jerk. Sometimes doctors can be a little bit arrogant. I know everything. I'm a doctor, And anyways, and the plane had just landed and we were both sitting like way in the back, me and this doctor. And as soon as that plane landed, he got up and he just like ran to the front. And it wasn't that he had a connecting flight or anything. We were landed in Durango. There's nowhere to go. It's just like you're just gonna come home is what you're gonna do. Maybe he had to go potty, I don't know, but I could see it in him. He just had this sense of I deserve to be at the front of the line. I'm not gonna wait for all these other muggles, these mere mortals, however you say that one. It's just I need to be at the front. I need to be at the front. Me first. But there's this thing that happens on the spiritual path. The further you walk and the more you mature, it becomes less and less about us and more about serving God's will. Serving God's will. And I want to be crystal clear. I have worked with countless individuals who have a shadow around service, around being a do-gooder, and around, being seen as a do-gooder and this and that. I have no need to be seen as a do-gooder. Like there's nothing around that. To me, it's just I work for God. That's the deal. God's a real tough boss. And I do my best, Lord. And I ask you to give me the strength to do even better. And I ask you to give me more energy so I can do more. But But some people, get a little ego around doing good. They like to do good in a way where other people see. Other people see. And that could be a whole thing. But I'm going to ask us to really look at this as a song and really ask this question like, who am I serving? Who am I serving? And I want us to be able to look at this question. I want us to look at all questions without judgment, but just this gentle discernment. Am I running forward with me first, my way, my desires, my hopes, my wants, my dreams, me first before everyone else? Or am I helping out my brothers and sisters here on the path? Am I helping out my friends? Am I being a good listener? Am I lending a helping hand? It's funny in the world of non-duality, if you want to share your gift, if you want to be a spiritual teacher, they look at that as purely an egocentric type of thing. That's in kind of like non-dual fundamentalist non-dualism. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but you get the idea. You're never allowed to talk about being a teacher or sharing in any way. It's always considered egocentric. For me, I'm constantly supporting people, stepping into their gift. Because if you step into your gift and you do it well, you're going to be serving God. You're going to come to realize very quickly, oh, this isn't about me. This is about life, life serving life, life serving life. I've been to too many non-dual conferences where they get real crazy with this language, always trying to get rid of the I, trying to take the word teacher out of the vocabulary because teacher is a dirty word, guru is a dirty word, healer is a dirty word, being a helper is a dirty word. I'm like, the world needs support, needs us to show up. Being the light, being the love, being compassion. It's true the world doesn't need more I's and me's wanting the orange mocha cappuccino or whatever. We don't need any more of that. We got enough egocentrism. Y'all have to forgive me. I have so much trouble speaking. It's a funny job that God has put me in. It's a humbling job. I have so much trouble speaking sometimes, getting my words right. But God needs us to serve each other. God wants us to serve. God wants us to be her hands, her voice, her ears. We are God here on planet Earth. And we can be egocentric gods, or we can be conduits of compassion, of patience, of kindness. And in order to serve in this way, we have to be willing to press pause on that human character. Press pause on my wants, needs, and desires. And to step into this depth. When you step into this depth, something else wakes up and begins to lead you and live through you. And you are transformed and life evolves. You are transformed and life evolves. And so this is a great invitation. Again, like if we continue just to feel into the moon tonight, allowing the clarity. Like the moon has this clarifying wisdom. this timeless reality. You stare directly into it when you open to it. And that's a different type of experience to bring forward into your home, into your relationships. It's a wholly different energy. We've all had this experience before where, like a friend comes over to your house and like they're really wound up, lost in some drama, lost in some crazy, tragedy or whatever it is that's going on with them. And if you listen from the perspective of being the moon, this quiet, timeless reality, it will change them. It will change their experience. It will change their mood. If they are remotely open, they have to be a little bit open, but they're remotely just at all, a little bit open. There's a willingness just to sit, radiating wisdom without even saying anything. It'll transform their experience. They may even be like, well, what was I so worried about there? Why? I can't even believe I'm gossiping so much about this silly thing. I don't even care anymore. I certainly had this experience countless times. I was always getting involved in some kind of crazy, dramatic relationship, and I would drive up to work and see my teacher, and immediately, just as soon as I came into contact with his presence, it was like everything stopped. Everything would fall away. And it's like, oh, here I am on this mountainside. And now this man is telling me, get to work with a shovel. Get to work with a shovel. But at least I would get to work with the shovel in peace. In peace, minus that drama. He'd always tell me, like, Craig, like, leave the drama. There was a little river. Like he kind of lived up on the mountain, like, but down in the valley, there was a little river. And he'd say, like, Craig, like, leave it at that river and then just drive up the hill to me. And I'd say, okay. And sometimes I get a little annoyed, feel a little offended, but it was a great teaching. It's like, Craig, just like leave it there and drive up here. And even if I didn't leave it there, if I just drove on by, angry as could be, and I'd go up to his house, and as soon as I'd see him, I'd just be like, it would wash away. And oftentimes satsang, has this ability. As we come into satsang, it's like all of a sudden things fall away. But if you have an agitated mind, if you have a irritable mind, if you have a nitpicky mind, because some people just sit and listen, they're waiting for me to say something that's the wrong thing or the untrue thing. Craig said something crazy about aliens. I can't trust him. It's like, or you could just relax and just let it go and not worry about it, and maybe smile and maybe wonder about aliens. Maybe just wonder about them. But you don't have to get so disturbed and just all of a sudden shut down. Can you smile? And people always talk about that, like water, rolling off a duck's back. It just like doesn't stick. Doesn't stick. The funny thing, if you ever hung out with ducks before, they're in water all day long, but they're not really wet. They're not really wet. If my daughter, she has all these little stuffies, these little stuffed animals, and if you take one of those and you drop it in the water, the thing will be like a sponge, but not a duck. The duck has this magical ability where it lets everything roll off its back. Roll off its back. So anyways, I'm going to invite us just to really look at this question. And I want us to look at this question because really what I want us to look at was two things. One is, am I being crazy, egocentric, just lost in my story of this my own personal character here? Like if you've ever played sports and competed in sports, it's like we gotta win. It's like this whole big story. I saw something pop up on my YouTube feed, like hockey season is going to start on Tuesday night. And there's part of me like, all right, hockey season. But really, like with hockey, it's like, come on. I got a couple teams I like. I got a couple players I like, but it's okay if they lose. It's not a big deal. But if we're taking life way too seriously, it just shows we're just serving ourselves. Or we're really saying, no, I'm not well served because I'm not getting my way and I'm angry. And this isn't fair. This isn't right. It should be different. Whereas when you step into a service orientation, we begin to ask this question: what does God want? What does life want? What is life asking of me now? And if anyone here wants to know how to embody spiritual awakening, well, we're going to ask this question: what is life asking for now? From me, of me, as me, what is life calling forth? A lot of people think, to be awake means we just sit around doing nothing and being empty all day. But that would be, I'll say, somewhat of a useless life. This world is a big chaotic mess. And the way this world will change is that as we awaken, we hear the call of truth. We hear the call to serve. And it doesn't have to be running out and being a spiritual teacher and serving all of humanity, dedicating our merit in every moment to the the liberation of all beings. Sometimes Buddhists say that. It's like it's a pretty tall order. Pretty tall order. Sometimes it's just a willingness to listen, to get down on your knees and help a child tie their shoes. One time God asked me one night to hold down a Doberman pinscher while his owner pulled porcupine quills out of his nose and his mouth and his jaws. I was like, am I going to get my fingers just bit off, my hands teared to shreds? It's a terrifying experience. But God called me, said, hey, this really sweet dog. His name was Dude. Dude. He's such a lovely consciousness, but he'd get into some porcupines and we'd have to hold him down. It's a terrifying thing to hold down one of those big dogs. And the quills, the porcupine quills, they have hooks in them. So you got to like get them out in some kind of surgical way. And it's like, what is God calling forth from you? And sometimes what we find is that, well, before God wants me to go out and save the world, oftentimes God calls us to be kind and gentle to our own self, kind and gentle to our mother, our father, whoever, to a neighbor. Saying, hey, how you doing? It's funny, there's a guy, I've lived in this house for, I think, 3 years now or something like that. And I just met one of my neighbors. And I was talking to him and I was like, hey, man, I know you. I know you. And he was like, oh, yeah, I know you. But he's got one of these jobs where he drives a lot for work. So he comes home, he gets out of his car and goes immediately into his house. Like he doesn't like walk around the neighborhood. And, I'm always outside, just running around the neighborhood and this and that. And I was like, dang, like like I knew this guy like really well a long time ago. And I'm like, look, it's been 3 years and you're living right across the street from me. And it's like, hey, hey, good to see you. Good to see you. And so sometimes we're called just to make eye contact, just to say hi, to smile, to intimately connect with another. It doesn't have to be some great act of service. Sometimes it's just an acknowledgement of, hey man, like we're old friends. We're old friends, aren't we? Or we're new friends. Good to meet you. Good to see you again. And to really look with the fullness of your presence, the fullness of what you are. And so I encourage you to really look at this question. What is God calling forth from you? What's God calling forth? Because the ego is certainly busy calling forth all of our wants, needs, and desires constantly. And I'm going to invite us just to experiment with pressing pause on that before we go out and just meet another one of our needs, and to really look out at life or look out at God. I mean, I was staring at this bookshelf at the beginning of last month, at the beginning of September. And there was a book that called out to me. And it was a book that I got when I was in graduate school as a therapist. And I hated the book. I thought it was a stupid book. It was a waste of my time. It had zero relevance for me. Zero, zilch, nothing. And I kind of skimmed through it. And for me, I was this kind of student who read every single line of every book that was assigned, every chapter. I was kind of like that guy in school. But this book, when the professor gave me this book, I was like, I don't like this thing. It's like not for me. And I've carried it around for, 20 something years now. And I heard it just call to me. And so I picked it up and I took it out in the woods with me, when I've been hunting and climbing and this and that. And I started to read this book and I was like, oh my God, I need this. I need to hear this. I need to hear this teaching. It was basically like someone wrote like what it's like to be a therapist. So he was just like reflecting on decades of being a therapist. And it's like when I first started, being a therapist, I didn't need it then, but I certainly need it now. And it reflected and validated so many of just the thoughts, the feelings, that I've been going through just on a human level. Because sometimes when you're in the healing arts for a long time, sometimes it'll take a little bit of a toll on you. You feel a little beat up, just by whatever job you're in. Even if you worked in a restaurant, it'd be the same thing. The plight of a restaurant worker, long hours, lots of drug use, lots of crazy people, and aggro bosses and unhappy customers, and just someone validating that. But anyways, so I was reading this book and I was like, this is so good. So good. And it's like 250 pages, read every page. And it's like, oh my God, thank you. Thank you. Whoever the author was who wrote this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But when we're open and when we listen to God, when we listen to life, you see, sometimes God will ask you to serve others. Sometimes God will ask you to serve yourself. And I kept hearing from God, like, Craig, you're going to need like more and more, time off work, just to be, just to recharge. It's like, oh yeah, okay, thank you, God, thank you. Because again, I had the shadow of serving, just serving too much. But that willingness to listen and to see, what is God calling forth from me? What is God asking me to surrender? Who is God asking me to meet with? who's out there wanting our attention. Sometimes the people around us show up as God. And sometimes they teach us things. Sometimes we need to serve them, and through serving them, we discover greater aspects of humility, greater aspects of surrender. We discover our own biases or our shortcomings or our judgments. So often God asks me to serve people who, like when I was a therapist in the beginning, sometimes I'd have these judgments about certain criminal types in the world. And then God would bring me some of those criminal types and I get an opportunity to get to know them and meet with them with great compassion. And I realized, like, am I serving them or are they serving me? Like, we're both teaching each other. And it's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. And again, it's a different orientation than simply tuning into what does my ego want? What can I do to improve my life and me feeling better? How can I get my way more efficiently? Oh, I want some of that. Like that's what the ego is always saying. I want some of that. Or I want everyone to leave me alone. One of the funniest things for me is like, because I've just been such a volunteer at churches and just, spiritual organizations, sometimes someone who's really grumpy will show up to serve. And I mean, like, they're showing up to volunteer. And I always like watch like the little dance that they go on as they like try to do like the bare minimum or they try to go hide somewhere. And I'm always like, what are you doing here, man? Like, are you here to be grumpy? Or, oh no, they're just here for their grumpiness to be beat down, to be softened, to be tenderized, to be taught like, hey, there's another voice you can listen to besides I'm grumpy. I ran out to the store this morning because my wife wanted some creamer for her coffee. I went out really early, and normally it was really early. I'm just sitting meditating, but she's like, I want some creamer. I was like, let me go get it for you, babe. And so I ran out to the store and I saw this guy in the store. He had a hat on. He is, he's like 86 years old, pushing a cart. He had on this hat, grumpy old vet. And I'm like, he is fully identified with the character, being a grumpy old vet. And, that's fine. I'm going to pick on that guy. But, it's like, as we age, we have to make a choice. Am I going to be old and grumpy? Or am I going to be like that wise grandmother who silently listens and then offers a beautiful teaching with just a quick pith one-liner for the whole family, when the whole family is like, oh, right, grandma knows. Grandma knows. She's the wise one here. She's the wise one. So anyways, okay, see a couple questions here. So let's hear from Aaron. Hi, Aaron.
Right.
Hey, good to see you.
Yeah, you too, man. Everyone. Um, I wanted to first say that if you're not in gallery view, I swear that Taylor Share has the moon up. I just wanted to notice that.
Has the what?
The moon up. I swear that's the
Oh
moon.
yeah, he absolutely does. Look at that.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
he does.
Taylor. Thank you.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to say the moon. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you, Taylor.
Yeah. Look at
Right,
that. Look at
right.
that.
Bringing the
Thank you.
moon in, bringing the moon in with us. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
and
Thank
then
you, Taylor.
a
Yeah.
quick matter of business, because you and Lauren are the administrators on the Fully Human, Fully Divine Facebook page. I am posting things for a group that Neil and I run Sunday, and they are needing administrator approval before they get posted. And like,
Okay.
I've had things that weren't posted for
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
3 or 4 weeks, so my
No,
link isn't
we
going up.
put you on the list saying we don't want Aaron posting
Yeah,
any.
right. I got that.
Yeah.
I got that.
It's just negligence is what it is. It's negligence. And so I see Kyle there. Kyle, maybe you can get the word to Lauren and maybe I can hear it too, is to click on some buttons to make it work. So
Oh yeah,
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 my
yeah.
bad. And Lauren, she moved to Durango and has been busy. And
No, it's no biggie. It's no biggie. I just wanted to.
me,
I
I'm
get the
you
Get the
know,
word out.
just an utter failure at social media. So, like even just
Me too, Craig.
I
Me too.
we
Yeah.
made it an hour through with our Facebook Live broadcast and it just crashed again. And I'm just like, for some reason, I've got some kind of bad energy with Facebook where
Yeah.
I
Right.
struggle with it. I have a struggle with it. So thank you. Thanks for speaking up. Okay, and
And the question. So I have a aspect of my consciousness that's been up quite heavily, and I've done this forever. It's that I compare where I think I am on the path to where I think other people are on the path. And
what does it do
I'm
for you?
what does it do for me? Let me say this. Uh, It's mostly in light of people who I think are farther along. What it's trying to do, what it was trying to do at some point is to be the best. Because I wasn't the best at a bunch of other things. So
You're
I
the
failed at those.
best around. No one can stop
Yeah.
you now. We can make an
Ah,
80s theme
yes.
song for you or something here. The best. Okay.
That's right.
I want to be the best. I need to be the best.
Yeah, definitely need to be the best at something. To like be like get belonging, to be worthy of love. I guess that's
Okay.
what it comes down to, like a worthiness wound.
Yeah.
And so that's just like been really up for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Where are you living right now? Remind me.
I'm in Austin, Texas through the sale of a house, and then I'll be back to Denver, Colorado.
Okay. Yeah. So if you want to roll with that, you should move to Hollywood.
Mm. No, no,
It's a
that sounds like a
whole hell
workplace
round there.
for me.
A whole
That's
hell round there. People trying to be the best and thinking like if I could just get you know, on the big screen and be the star, then
right.
I'll be loved.
Exactly. That's
Then
totally
I'll be loved.
right.
I mean, my question to you is can you love yourself in all your divine glory and all your human glory and all your human ugliness and all your human mediocrity and all your human greatness and everything in between right now? Right now. And if you can pull that off, this thing will be a non issue.
Mm.
So
Hmm.
it's you loving you love, and I think it's more important. Like especially like when we have the best, um, like if we when we chase after the best, normally one of the things that happens is we have a hard time seeing the worst aspects of us, or we don't like looking at the worst aspects. We don't like seeing them. We keep trying to get ourselves into the best and like get in this ultimate state of consciousness.
Right.
And I'm going to encourage you to fall in love with the worst aspects of your being
Huh.
because it's so healing, so healing. And by falling in love with them, I'm really
Right.
talking about giving the human full permission to be as this one is,
Right.
full permission to be as this one is. You seem like you don't like this at all.
No, no, no. I'm listening.
Okay,
Uh,
you're with me. You're with me here. Okay.
yeah.
Well, what do you like? What happens in you when I say this?
What I go um um like I'm on the right track. I mean, I'm doing exactly what you're talking
Good,
about in
good,
regards to
good.
this deep embracing of everything in me. I really love. I can always hear the like loving the what I perceive to be the worst aspects of myself because I don't have any problem seeing those things and being with them. I can be rather harsh and judgmental though.
So that's the part. So that's the part. It's that harsh judgmentalism.
Right.
We want to we want to find a
So
way to work with that. So
yeah.
so let's look at that. So what's the judgment about?
Not being perfect.
Yeah, I mean, no one, no thing here on planet Earth is remotely perfect.
Definitely not. It's hell of a karma to come in with. I wish I didn't have it, Craig. I really
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. So from the place of reason, it's just like doesn't exist. Perfection doesn't exist.
right.
The chasing after perfection, like oftentimes there's a feeling of, well, you tell me, what's the feeling of chasing after perfection? Does that feel like you're going fast or slow?
Chasing after perfection. It can feel like both. It can feel like both
It
because
can
it's
feel
ever
like,
elusive. So it's slow. It can feel like fast because I'm trying to get there.
so that's the thing I'm talking about. It's that
Right.
I'm trying to get there. And if we're trying to get there, I like to turn around and look and be like, what am I running away from?
Right, right.
Like, what
Exactly.
am I running away from?
Right.
Because normally we think like with perfection, we normally think of that. I'm gonna say how I would think about perfection is it's some adult figure in some perfect age, 30, 35, 40, something like that. Got all life figured out. It's got just has a big crowd of followers, tons of money in the bank, best-selling book deals, all that kind of silliness,
Right.
you know. But it's like if we're always going after that thing in the future, like this idealized one, all of our humanity's left behind. Do you know what
Right.
I mean?
No, 100%. 100%.
Like
No, and
like
I've
you tell me,
definitely.
what is your view of perfection? Like, what does it look like? Just to honor it for a moment.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wanted to be a pop star when I was young. I want to be the smartest person. I
Like
want to
pop
be
star, what are we talking about? Like Michael Jackson?
like Justin Bieber, but like Michael Jackson's Justin Bieber back in the
Justin
day. You
Bieber.
know what I mean?
Yeah, Justin
Yeah,
Bieber.
Justin
Yeah,
Bieber was
yeah.
more my time. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, forgive me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Justin Timberlake, whoever you wanted to be. Yeah,
Okay,
that's right.
Justin Timberlake. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. My wife brought Justin Timberlake into my consciousness, and um, my oldest daughter brought Justin Bieber, and we used to have all
Oh,
kinds of Justin
totally,
Bieber jokes
totally.
and things. So, okay, to be the
Right.
pop star.
Be the pop star, be the smartest, be the most aware. But I failed at all these. I mean, thank goodness that
Yeah,
I've lived a life that I wasn't able to achieve these things. I failed, and it's really brought me back to my worthiness wound. I mean, that's the thing. I really just want these things to belong. They're really
yeah.
long,
So I want
circuitous
you to hear
wounds.
that. I want these things to belong.
Right.
And the question is can we make all of ourself belong? And how
Yes,
are we going to make all of ourself belong if not through love?
that's right.
If not through love. And so if I'm like running towards perfection, and I want to be clear here, I've never ran towards perfection because I never even thought about perfection because I just like I always knew like this guy's that doesn't have perfection and I
Yeah,
don't got it. I don't
yeah.
got it, like
No, me neither.
I don't got it. I'm not a champion. I'm not that. My wife, she's a champion, but like I'm not. I'm the guy who like loses a lot, so but if I was running towards perfection, I'm leaving all these other ones behind.
Right, right.
And I'm actually making all of them not belong. And that's what I was kind of saying, like with that image of if I got this image of this one, being like the perfect one, like the one, like for me, if I'm going to just really play with it, I'm just going to do what a lot of people do in my field is they just look at Ajashanti, just like great
Sure.
teacher,
He's a
very
perfect example.
successful,
Yep.
um, did well. Everyone loves him. No one can say anything, mean about him or anything. It's just like just great. Okay. But if I look at myself in the mirror, it's like, man, I can't even comb my hair. Like I can't even like I can't even make myself look presentable. It's just but I look and I smile and I include and I say yes to this one. And so can we say yes fully to Aaron, to all of Aaron,
Hmm.
to all of Aaron?
Yes.
And for me, the turning point was finding this will sound crazy, but like the deepest, darkest, most confused parts, the most unworthy parts, and saying, oh man, you absolutely belong here.
Um,
I love you and you and you and you and you so much.
hmm.
In fact, I need you And if we play like the Jungian game, you start to discover in all that stuff that we would call ugliness, you know, in those parts of ourself are actually qualities of ourself that are missing.
Right.
And we're more likely to find ourselves here instead of somewhere in the future being perfect.
Right.
Because when we find ourselves, you feel whole, you feel complete, you feel total. And that's the thing that we think we'll get when we're the star. When I'm the star, I will feel whole and complete. And I'll know that because everyone is telling me I'm whole and complete. Everyone tells me, I love you, you're the best.
Yeah, exactly.
But we are doing the things that we would ask our fans to do. Did you know? Do you know what I mean by that?
100%.
But like
100%.
Justin Bieber, he's like wants his fans. He like wants all those little girls screaming his name, so he can be the thing. And it's like, no, no, no. Like we need to love all of ourselves. We need to
Right.
be our biggest fan.
Totally.
And when we're our biggest fan, then we become the Bieber. we become
Yeah.
we become the bright light. And of course, he hasn't figured this out. He's working on it though. I think he's working on it. He's trying to be a man of God. I think that's the last time I checked in with Justin Bieber.
I believe that's the case.
I'm going to say something just to upset a couple people in the room. I just saw on my YouTube feed he made a song about Charlie Kirk, his love for Charlie Kirk, and so people can take that one way or the other. I'm just having fun with it tonight. But to be yourself, to love yourself, to include yourself, all of you, all of you. And the perfection game is a real racket because we have to be on our game perfectly in every moment.
Right.
Pull that thing off. But the love game is like, no, no, no. I'm going to love the addicted one, the confused one, the
Right.
one who just said the wrong thing one, the one who upset this one and that one, the one who people don't historically like. I'm loving that one
Right.
fully, fully. And to really be like the Christ, to reach down into those dark places and to say yes, an absolute yes, and to light them up with just great luminosity. And as we do so, we discover, oh, again, there's something in those parts that we're missing when we're chasing after perfection. And that's
Right.
something that we're missing is wholeness, a universal love, a wholeness. It's like, how about that? How about that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I so
Yeah,
I
please.
I 100% hear you, and that's beautiful. That touches me, and I I am hell. I'm doing that more than I ever have before, and yeah, due to any number of circumstances in my life. But it's a beautiful place to be because you're right. I can land here now without having to constantly. I can love the one who's chasing the thing in the future, right? I can love the perfectionism. So instead of being identified with that and constantly moving out,
Yeah.
I can land and embrace more and more of myself. I can always stand to hear that more. The thing I want to ask you is that did you ever play? Was your consciousness ever playing this game that mine is right now in regards to comparing yourself to other people's awakening? Was that ever an issue for
So
you?
so that's a nature of mind thing. So
Right.
all human beings do that. All human beings do that. Now I'll say this. There's a stage of awakening where that falls away, and that's a
Sure.
great relief.
Yeah. I
But
can.
let's just say it purely from an orientation perspective.
Mhm.
So I spent a lot of times out in the woods this month. And when you are I've really stepped into this new mode of being in nature called hunting. And I want to be
Mhm.
crystal clear here. Like I haven't killed anything, but I'm just hunting. But when you hunt, you step off the trail. So my whole life in nature is I've always been on the trail. And when you're on the trail, you're oriented. You know where you are. you got a sense of like the direction you're going. But when
Mm,
you step off the trail, it's this whole different other experience.
mm,
And I love it. I
mm,
love it. I love just like walking through the woods, and it's really like walking through the mountains on no trail.
right.
But it's so dangerous. It's crazy dangerous. I mean, this year, just like in my little part of the state, there's been 3 guys who died this year
Mm,
already. And, and it's just like the first month of hunting season. Hunting season's over for me, but it continues on through November for others. But, anyways, it's dangerous not to be oriented. And so there's going to be a part of our mind that's always going to be looking, am I in the right place? Am I
right.
where I should be? So there's just going to be an aspect of our biological ego that's going to be looking, am I in the right place?
Right.
There's going to be an aspect of our will that's going to say, like, I could always be doing better. There's going to be an aspect of our tribal consciousness that makes sure that we are in the right place on the pecking order. And I love
Mm,
standing out
mhm,
I love showing up to an organization and watch people play the pecking order game. I
right.
love it. It is absolutely hilarious to me. Because I've been to like all kinds of retreat centers and this and that, and I'll watch that in-house fighting. I mean, how
Right.
there's been like
Right.
3 centers that I've been a part of just like vaguely here in Colorado that I've seen completely implode because people were playing jockeying for control, jockeying to be number one. The teacher was getting kind of old and who was going to be the successor. And then the whole thing just imploded because everyone was playing this game to such a crazy degree. They
Right.
wanted to be the best. They wanted to take over the power. They want to take over the throne, whatever
Right.
it is. It's just in human nature.
Mhm,
It's in human nature. So this thing isn't like something that Aaron has, it's something that everyone has.
right.
And there's something in our ego that's just going to check in like, am I in the right place? Should I be a little bit more over here? Like, oh yeah, okay, this is the right place.
Mhm,
But that place over there, that's for Sally or someone, but not for me. Or, oh no, this one's more advanced. They should be over there. And then we start to have like a little bit of jealousy or envy, and so there's
totally.
so much psychology around this, like just
Right.
tremendous amounts of psychology around this. And so it tends to be just inherent. The way the Buddha spoke about it is he just called it comparing mind. And I love the Buddha because he'll just take any very confusing, messy psychological thing and say, that's comparing mind. Or sometimes the Buddha would sit back and just call anything a mind state. That's a mind
Right.
state. This other thing's a mind state. So anxiety is a mind state, depression's a mind state, comparing
Right.
mind is a mind state. So these are mind states. Our
Totally.
job is to step out of mind states.
Yeah. Right.
And we can try this game. This is the game of transcendence. Let's just step right out of mind state and just see if you can rest there fully.
Right.
The answer will be no, I won't be able to rest there fully
Yeah.
if we have big unworthiness issues.
Exactly. Exactly.
I had big unworthiness issues. And so that's why I started with this first teaching is, I destroyed the game through
Right.
loving myself to death,
Totally.
especially the ugly parts. And so there's this huge shift in me through loving the ugliness
Right.
that all of a sudden, oh, I am in this realm of acceptance. And it's
Mm.
a funny type of acceptance. It's an acceptance with, that guy, what's his name? Mark Manson wrote a book about it. I don't give an F about anything.
Mhm.
It's like how not to give an F about, your girlfriend, your partner, your who, this or that, pecking order. It's just like how not to give an F about it. But there's this thing that happens, and he just wrote a book. It's like a self-help book. But anyways, there's this level of acceptance that comes online where you love yourself so much that you no longer care
Right.
about being different, about being better. And it comes off with like a little bit of a like, I just don't give a fuck anymore.
Right.
I don't care, if
Okay.
Eckhart Tolle's got 10 million followers and I've got three. Like, I don't care. I don't care if so and so has a full practice and I've got like, again, three clients. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And so this is definitely a hara thing. So the more you open in the hara,
Okay.
the more comparing mind eventually falls away.
Okay.
This is not a transcendent thing. We can try it. We can try to be the Buddha and just say this is a mind state, but it's only through an absolute love and an absolute knowing that what Aaron is, that Aaron is fully and completely whole and total and okay right here, right now. And Aaron is going to spend the rest of this lifetime growing and evolving at whatever pace. And that's totally okay. That is
Right.
totally acceptable. That is what is, that's what is for all of life.
Right.
Everyone's doing that. And when
Right.
we see this, there's like a great forgiveness that we give to ourselves for being
Mm.
human. And the beautiful thing is that forgiveness goes out to humanity. And that's why, Jesus would say, you are forgiven. It came with a power of basically like, it's all right to be human. It's all right. It's all right to be human.
Right.
When I was in college,
Mm-hmm.
I had two cars. I had a VW microbus. This one was in Ohio. I had a VW microbus, and then I had like a 84, I'm going to call it an Oldsmobile Buick. Now, those are two different cars, and I'm going to make them one. It was just like this gigantic, it was like that color of stuff that glows in the dark, but when it's not glowing in the dark, it's just like
Oh yeah.
kind of a
Yep.
bland yellow green. It was
Right.
like that color. It was the lamest car ever. It was a big square box. It had two giant couch seats in it. It was like just driving a boat. It's not the kind of car you want to have in Colorado. But anyways,
Yeah.
I was super hippie, back there in, let's call it 1992 or something. I had these two cars. And I had a good friend who was a mechanic, and he said, "Hey, Craig, if you drive that microbus from Ohio to Colorado, you're going to break down 15 times. You're never going to make it. Drive that Oldsmobile." And I was like, "I don't want to drive that thing. It's really ugly and it looks terrible." It's like, "Drive the Oldsmobile." I drove that thing out to Colorado. I found myself a beautiful girlfriend. When she saw me roll up in that car, she laughed in my face, absolutely just laughing in my face. And she was like, "Hell no, I am not getting in that car. I'm not getting in that car."
Yeah.
And I was just
Like
like,
that.
man, I'm just like some young hippie kid. Like, this is what I got. Like, I'm just like, "Can I take you on a date?" She's like, "Nope. We'll walk." And we walked, she stuck around with
All
me
right. Still
for a little
got
bit.
the date. That's
So
good.
it worked out. It worked
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
But I have no idea where I was going with this story. But the sense was, can I love and include all of Craig?
Right.
The
Right.
failure, the good, the bad, the ugly, the one who
I
didn't
got you.
show up with the cool. I mean, it would have been a Subaru Outback back then. I mean, it probably still is Subaru Outback if you live in Colorado, but it's just like, can you love all of you and all of your failures
Right.
and see that, okay, this one is not in any way wrong,
Right.
not in any way wrong. Because here was a girl who was judging me, saying, "You are wrong. You are wrong. You cannot be this way."
Right.
And it's like, no, this is how I am. This is how we are. This is how life is.
Right. And it's
It's like
okay.
we're either going to accept ourselves fully and smile and we're still going to show up, and like we can still show up and grow and evolve. But you know this as a good Christian, like when we show up and we're growing and evolving from humility, it feels wonderful.
Huh.
It feels wonderful. It's such a wonderful transmission from the Christian tradition of
Mhm.
just growing through humility.
I feel
Often we call it like walking in Christ's footsteps. And I like that they say it because it's like
amen.
he's up front, I'm in the back, walking in the footsteps. Like I don't have to be perfect.
Totally, totally.
Jesus, he can be perfect. Come on now, if you really read the story, you see he wasn't perfect either,
That's right.
but the church runs it. He's perfect, and we're in his footsteps.
Sure.
It's like we're just kind of walking, like trying, showing up, being our best, but without that grasping, I need to be perfect.
I love it.
And to really just, embrace this sense of it's okay. And so I'll tell you this, Aaron, that
Thank you.
comparing mind really fell away
Hmm.
when my heart opened and I just saw every different way Craig was an absolute failure, a hot mess, didn't have the right car,
Yeah.
didn't have the right hair, didn't have the right look, can't see, just like all these things about me, said the wrong thing, excuse me, not politically correct, dyslexic, just like, just like I love all of him and I allow all of him to be, and I allow all of him to have his own journey of growth
Right.
with no pressure that he should be different.
Mm. I feel that. Yes.
Because with the hara, when the hara opens up, there's this sense of the world is absolutely okay, fully and completely as it is, with all the crazy characters, all the death and destruction, all the violence, all the horror, all just everything.
Right.
And that sounds insane to say that.
Right.
The problem is, it's the truth.
Right.
And until we know that in our bones, there's going to be a part of our mind that's comparing ourselves to others.
Right.
But let's
Right.
be clear here, because I always like to find like a shred of something good in the ego. The healthy aspect of it that will not fall away is when you do get lost, there'll be part of your mind that's like, I think I'm lost. I need to compare myself. I need to orient myself
Yeah,
to
I need
something
to.
in this world.
Sure,
And
sure.
that's helpful.
Absolutely.
That's helpful. Like when I'm out in the big mountains, like I orient myself to the different peaks. It's like, okay, I gotta walk in that direction. I gotta walk in that direction because that's, where the trailhead is. That's where my truck's at or whatever.
Right.
And we're always going to have that.
Right.
But the comparing myself to the Joneses,
Right.
when you've loved yourself, again, we'll be just Christians here, like Jesus loves you, like Christ loves you,
Mm. Mm.
you would never think to compare. Never, wouldn't even cross your mind.
No need.
It's like, compare to who? It's like,
Right.
everyone's life is so unique and so difficult in their own way and has so many trials and tribulations. It's like, God,
Absolutely.
we're all just trying to we're all just trying to live here, just trying to survive in a reasonably sane way. And the beautiful thing is you see we're able to laugh.
Yes.
And in that laughter is like this gift of humility
Right.
that's so different, because like with perfectionism, it's sharp and it's cutting and it's also like grasping,
So tough.
and it's nasty too, because with perfectionism is not only you judging yourself, you judging everyone around you. It's like this should be different, this should have been this and that, and it's like social media. It's like social
Mhm.
media, everyone's a god on social media telling everyone else how they should live, and
That's
everyone's
right.
wrong. And it's like,
Mm.
yeah, man, it's like it's a hell realm. A hell realm. And one of the things
Yes.
that happens is through the tenderness of the heart, when you start to feel into the pain of perfectionism, you're like, oh my God,
Exactly.
this is poison and this is really hurting my soul.
Yeah.
And it hurts people around me. Like sometimes people have this with drink. Like when you really like look at booze and you're like, oh my God, this shit is killing me. It's like killing me. I cannot drink this anymore. It is killing me. There's
Yeah.
the same kind of recognition of like, I can't do this anymore. I cannot be violent to myself
That's right.
anymore in this way. It hurts.
That's right.
It hurts.
That's right.
And so what the beautiful thing is that this type of awakening
Hmm.
is the great destroyer of the spiritual ego.
Yeah.
Because you'll see it. You see spiritual egos get together and boy, they can be nasty.
Sure.
They can be mean. And I was at one of these conferences. I'm going to talk about two of my colleagues, and I hope they don't hear this, but because they'll come off mean. But it was like Rupert Spira and Hamid, uh, Hamid from the Diamond Approach, Hamid Ali. And it's like two of them were like saying like the same thing, but from two different angles. And they were kind of going back and forth, like really kind of one up each other. And you saw a little bit of spiritual ego in there. And everyone in the crowd was like laughing at these two old men on stage. It's just like, guys,
That's hilarious.
it's just like smile, shake hands, like you talking about the same damn thing, but they're kind of like trying to get the last kind of word in, and it
Sure.
was, and the audience was like awake, and these two were like the great masters on the stage, and everyone's like, guys,
That's so good.
relax,
It's all love.
relax. And so sometimes,
Yeah.
it'll fully fall away, but then on a public stage, it gets amped up because we got to be the man,
Yeah.
whatever. And it's like,
Right.
it's just humans are like that. We're just like that. And so the beautiful thing is, I'm sure that if any of either of those guys watched whenever that, thing happened in that moment in history, they'd
Right.
be like, look at me up there, like,
Maybe
look
left
at
it too.
me, like,
That's
oh my,
right.
I got carried away. And to even have room for that, to
Yes.
even have room for like, oh
Yes.
yeah, I still got to grow an edge, and it's no big deal. And
That's
so anyways, and Aaron,
beautiful.
I'm talking to you, but come on, I'm talking to everyone here. I'm
I
talking
get
to everyone because we've all had this to some degree. It's like, where am I at? And I mean, the last thing I'll say is,
it. Mhm.
man, I'm looking at the time. I'm like way late, but the last thing I'll say is there is an innocent part of it too. Like, so if we feel into the evolutionary edge of awakening,
Mhm.
the intelligence of it is it's always going to be looking like, is there any more I could do?
Right. Right.
Could I open a little more fully? Could I surrender this? Oh, I've
Right.
got a little bit of attachment here. Okay, can I let go of this? Oh, I got a little something here, a little hiccup here, a little bias, a little
Right.
judgment, or okay, I'm going to let go of that too. And there's an aspect of our evolving edge that when we really fall into it,
Absolutely.
it's really just happy to look, but it's looking from a place of love, from a place of humility, instead of looking from a
Yeah.
place of grasping or judgment.
Judgment, deficiency, totally.
Yeah,
What I'll also say about that place too is
yeah,
that place feels alive. That
yeah.
place feels alive. It feels good.
Of course, good.
Like, oh,
You have a big part of that in your consciousness because one thing about you is, just from knowing you, is you're really dynamic. And so when we're really
mhm.
dynamic, like we're going to have, this sense of, okay, I'm looking, but
Yeah,
there's a way where we're looking, we're just from that aliveness. And there's
right.
something really cool and evolutionary about that.
Totally.
And it's healing, it's kind of upward and onward, always growing, expanding, and evolving. But we get in trouble when there's perfectionism or when we're purely just in that old habit of mind of judgment, that judgment falls away through an absolute love and inclusivity of oneself. Yeah.
Absolutely. Craig, thank you so much. And I also just want to say thank you to everyone else as well. Your time and your presence and being here with me. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah,
So thank
yeah.
you so much.
Of course. Beautiful. Nice to have you here. We'll cut everyone loose, but let's end with a prayer. So would invite us all to close our eyes. And again, I want us to check in with this energy, this transmission from the moon, and calling forth the great clarity, the brilliance, the wisdom, the transmission of this moon, inviting it to touch our souls and to give us this gift of light, of radiance, of truth, whatever way it wants to. We're inviting ourselves to open to this divine mystery of the moon, the great expanse of the night sky. Of course, we call upon the full grace of God. May all beings be blessed. May all beings be flooded with the highest light. May the truth prevail. May all wars and violence end now and forevermore. May love prevail. Okay, so much love. Good night, everyone. Good to be with y'all. See y'all later. Okay.